Good morning, Tartaria, Australia. Wow, it's the day after Boxing Day here. Very hot and humid Northern Rivers.
Yes, yes. Very warm. We're both sitting outside. We've got our green screen, so it looks like we're very professional, but I'm in a shed and Kelly's out at the garden table.
So, all right. Well, we've got some sad news today to start the show, Campbell, and it's been a
Mm,
shock for us to hear this information, as I'm sure it's going to be for everyone who hears it on this show today. So, I feel like the news hasn't really broken around, certainly around our channels or Australia. So, what do you
mm.
reckon? We'll just play a video right now and let you guys hear it straight up the way that we did. And
All right,
yeah.
all right, let it roll.
See if I can get on a big screen.
That one there, yeah.
Dear friends from all across the world, I have a deeply sad message to deliver. Janet has been found dead after a period of 5 weeks in which she was missing. She died of suicide by taking an overdose of medicine on November 16, 2023. Janet has had a lifetime of struggling against severe depressions and death wishes. A few times a year she would experience a deep emotional episode. This last time was one too much. She was in the process of dealing with her youth issues, which she wrote about in her blogs, and it seemed like a never-ending story to her. She tried everything. She tried to save others, me included. She tried to save the world with creating Cambell, but she couldn't save herself. Underneath her smiles and silly jokes, she deeply hated life. For me, she meant the world. We were so aligned, so in tune. We only needed a glance to completely understand each other. We shared the same humor, same silly jokes. We shared the same determination to find the truth and spread it to the world. Janet already made name as a crop circle researcher and author. She really reached the masses with her original 10-part series, The Fall of the Cabal. It was an honor for me to work with her, to share her professionalism, her passion. When we worked together, we worked as one. We had the same ideas about the script, the same ideas about the research. We started with a script of 17 parts for the sequel to The Fall of the Cabal in the summer of 2020. We ended up with 28 parts, and we are only halfway the original script. There is still so much to say, so much to expose, but it will never be the same when the voice behind the series falls away. I will not finish the sequel alone. I will leave it as it is today, with an open end. One day, I might release the rest of the script to the world, but it will be in a different form. The sequel was our co-production, and it will never be the same without Janet. This doesn't mean Cambell will end here. I will continue to fight for the children, to make presentations, to produce DVDs and books, and to fill our Telegram channel with the most important daily truths you don't hear in the news. Janet, we lived together for 5.5 years, 24/7. We were soulmates, best friends, and best co-workers ever. You are the second mother for my children and the light in our lives. I will miss you more than anything. I'll end this message now with Janet's own words, with love, as always.
Once upon a time, there was a planet.
Oh, that voice.
It was a beautiful planet with blue oceans, green forests, an abundance of animal and plant species, with hot deserts and ice-cold mountain tops. Mankind ruled this planet that we shall call planet Earth. Eons of time had passed since they first evolved. Great civilizations they had built, but, as was ordained by universal law, all of these civilizations had disappeared after great times of power and glory. And for some unknown reason, mankind had always been drawn into wars. The gods had no understanding of mankind's collective insanity, but observed it with great interest. After all, that's what gods do. They observe their creations.
Oh, Campbell. What
Mm,
a fucking tragedy.
it is. It is. I mean, she's been around for years. Like that voice. I remember that voice from, decades ago. Like yeah. So, huge loss. And of course, we heard that, the story coming out is that she took her own life. Which doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense, does it? She was definitely a woman with a mission, and she hadn't finished it. And what got me was she was missing for 5 weeks.
Yeah, what was
How
that?
they found her. So, like, how could they? Like, what does that mean? She was dead for 5 weeks, or she like? Because there's not much information there, right? There's not a lot of information. It's a very sort of, and I understand that, obviously her friend is, traumatized and in a bad position, but it's like so many other things we get, right? It just doesn't seem like the full story.
Definitely. And look, I mean, you and I are going to talk about this for a little bit. But, in tribute to her passing, we're going to speak looking at potentially both sides of the presentation, because obviously I would say 100% of the humans on this realm who have watched Fall of the Cabal and have been moved and changed by Janet's work will certainly be very suspicious of her passing, and especially in this manner. Unfortunately, it follows a script that we have seen play out so many times with anyone who has broken this sort of level of truth. Whether or not this is even truth, we don't even know, really. But, at this point in our process through evolving through this level of consciousness here on this messy realm of ours, the Fall of the Cabal certainly was the series that, for me personally, will forever stay in my mind as the leading voice and the leading education and information that went through the COVID ordeal for myself and millions of others around the world. So, yeah, I mean, missing for 5 weeks, suicide, drug overdose, depression. I mean, and even her friend there speaking that she hated life, just so straight there at the front of the tribute that she hated life. It seems so
yeah, I heard that, and I'm just like, that just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
If you hate life, you don't go out and try and save the world.
No.
Like that. So, nothing against her friend, but I mean, we have to entertain the thought that maybe people have got to her friend as well, right? She may, have been threatened. She may have had to say certain things to, like she mentioned, she's got children and stuff. So, we're far from getting the story. Like that was really not much information, and what she just said that doesn't even make sense, really.
And actually, to be fair, like when I found out last night, that just came through one of my great friends and excellent researcher, Jojo. And basically, Leah, I had to really search online to get any information and to find that tribute video. It's just like really hidden because, of course, Fall of the Cabal and all of her work has been taken off every platform so many times that now it's been re-uploaded and re-uploaded and re-uploaded by so many other people that it's very hard to find her actual website or her actual source pages.
Yeah.
So when I finally, and it was hidden away in BitChute, and I finally found it, and that's what was there. Yeah, I mean, like if you suffer depression, like I've lived very intimately with you know, a very close friend in my past who had depression. And it's very difficult to hold a cognitive line of thought, you know, like you can be on it for a couple of weeks, but then poof, you're just, you know, the depression takes over. Really, it's hard to say so clear and focused with such a long view and such a complicated narrative. It's not like they were just writing a story tale for children. Like this was a complex series that took in on board so much information and managed to narrate it and decipher it in a timeline that was really you know, easy for people to translate. So the work was, you know, fantastic. It was really fantastic work. And to imagine that the whole time she was struggling with depression to the point where she would actually, I mean, because to disappear for 5 weeks and then overdose on medication, that's sort of the signs you'd get with bipolar or manic depression potentially, you know, where it has an extremity to it. But you can't create a 28-part series on the most complex topic on the world, follow it through and still manage bipolar or manic depression. It's not possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the subject matter, right? I mean, if she was prone to those thoughts, what she was covering would have just sent her down further.
Yeah, I know.
You have to be a strong person of mind and heart to be even broach these topics, let alone deep dive and then put it together into a narrative. So it all just, you know, it just doesn't make sense.
So this is only the second time Cambell and I have actually you know, focused the show on an individual. Our first was obviously when Iwaran you know, like left the scene the way he did. And now with Janet. So for everyone, just to be clear here, how would you pronounce the last Ossebaard?
Ossebaard, yeah.
Janet Ossebaard, the creator of Fall of the Cabal, has been reported as committing suicide and passing in the last little while. I'm not even sure when it actually happened.
I heard because I posted on Facebook and I heard that it was actually November, so it was last month, late last. So and that's just goes to show, right? Like for such a massive, you know, channel and body of work, like it took a month to get out, right? Like because those videos that one we just shown, they've only just been, well, the ones that we saw have only just been uploaded. So you know, she may have waited a month, obviously, you know, because it's not going to be easy, you know, with her friend, what she's gone through. But it may have been a month ago, but it's still very new. But whatever it is, like, even this part of it's being censored by the looks of it. Like you said, we've seen this, you know, happen, you know, all the time. As soon as people get too close to the truth, you know, these things seem to happen. We had a doctor, Dr. Richard, it was last year, who was, you know, right into the chemical warfare, shall we say?
Yeah,
fit and healthy, dead. You know, and he was just one in a long line. So, I mean, if anything, what this really proves is that she was on the money, man. She was on the ball, right? She was getting too close, and we know what these people are like, right? And I mean, we have this narrative of you know, that goes around that, you know, they, you know, the nefarious ones have to tell us what they're doing. I've never actually seen any evidence of that. And cases like this is like they, you know, they're stopping it get out. So yeah, I just want to bring that up. That so many people I've heard say, "Oh, but they have to tell us." They have to. I don't think they do. I think that's probably just another story, right? So that we believe that when they say things like that, that it's the truth. But clearly, whenever other people get close to actually putting out the truth and telling us, like, they get taken out.
I mean, it's a real fucking bummer, man. Like, what a bummer. What a bummer. I mean, I for one have watched all 28 part or wherever it got to the last episode 27. And I was only last week that I actually did a little quick search to see if there'd been any more parts, because I just thoroughly enjoyed watching her train of thought and her consciousness and her work. I mean, they were always the ones I would send to people who, they were always the one, start here, just start here. Here's your like download, get it quick and all at once. But yeah, I mean, like to name everyone's, thoughts, the elephant in the room, it's a suspicious passing. The video that came out, and again, no offense to her friend, if we're completely off the money here, we are simply just speaking out what we know, the whole community will be thinking. And that will be that the whole situation feels very suspicious and very it's just following a script that happens often to the truthers who are out there. Also, the whole process with that tribute video was a little bit, off as well. I just listened to it and was like, I mean, honestly, I'm just being honest. I just listened to it and was like, it just feels a bit off. Just like, if you've just been working on this series with, this woman, and like the quality's so high, and then, the video the tribute video there just looks just off somehow. And just coming out straight up front, to say she hated life. I mean, this is just like a strange thing to say about your closest, dearest, most loved human being, and they've passed. Like, why would you say that?
It doesn't make sense with everything
Like
else
it
she said.
justifies it.
She hated life, but she was the second mother to my children. People who hate life don't love children and get involved in all. And especially people who hate life and are clinically depressed.
Yeah.
Like literally, those people, there's a reason that that we call them clinically depressed. It's because they can't operate. They can't operate properly in life. So again, to handle that amount of information and that subjective information with, clinical depression, it just doesn't make sense at all.
And to get that far, Cambell, to get like halfway through it, like she's dedicated last 4 years to it.
Yep.
She's got halfway through it. She's been received by literally millions and millions and millions and millions of people who she would have known her work has changed their lives. So she would know that. She'd be inundated by people all the time telling her that.
Completely.
And to be halfway through and to like decide that she just doesn't have it in her to finish, it doesn't make any sense. I feel like the worst case scenario has happened. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, completely. It just, looks like she's been unlived, right? And it seems, to me, from my perspective, that, her friend has probably been, told what she can and can't say. Because the second bit is her friend's just like, oh, well, so I'm stopping. None of it, we've got all this stuff, but it's just stop. I mean, wouldn't the best tribute to her friend be to finish it, to get her life's work out there? But she's just kind of like, oh, no, it's gone. Maybe in the future I'll put it out. So it's almost like she's been told what to say about, the circumstances, but also it stops here. It stops.
Yeah, I mean,
or out, And like,
and if they were
got a family, you're easily threatened.
Definitely. And when if she actually was, if they did end her life, and then they've gone around and, like said, well, we've done it to Janet, like you'll be next, like it's over, like you have to pull this, it's over. I mean, they've got children. She said on there that she has children. Like it's so, what are you gonna do in that situation? If your co-partner and primary creator of this documentary series has been murdered, and you've been threatened, and you've just witnessed that happen. You've just witnessed her be murdered. Like, of course, you're gonna do whatever you're told to do in that circumstances. Like at that point, you're protecting your family.
And it's interesting that we heard nothing about the 5 weeks that she was missing.
Yeah.
I mean, someone covering these topics, if they're missing, man, that's a big thing, right? Because the risk that they've been, taken by nefarious people is huge.
Yep.
So the fact that we didn't hear anything about that in the previous month, right, is, it just sort of leads more to the mystery and more to that this is an orchestrated event as far as the narrative we're being given is orchestrated.
Well, shit.
I
mean, shit. It's just like, what a friggin', I mean, of all it's just, Look, I hope, like, maybe there's a situation also, like we're going to think that she's been murdered, that there's a contradictory situation where she's been like removed from the situation. Maybe her life was being threatened. Maybe she's safe and sound. Maybe she's safe and sound somewhere in protection. I don't know. Like, I mean, we don't know to the true extent of how shite this whole game is. Like, we don't really, I mean, I've not met anyone personally myself who's been murdered for their speaking out or any harms come to them. I've heard of it happening to others. I haven't experienced it myself, or played witness to it. Thus, it's still just a possibility or a potential in my actual experience. Just like it is, all these witness protection programs and, protections like, back in, like we go back to 2020 and it was all about Q and the white hats and like all that side of the, the consciousness, like who knows, like maybe all that was actually true and is still happening under the scenes. I don't know, Campbell. Like I've just stopped. You and I just stopped sort of putting attention on that side of things for the last 2 years. Like we haven't been near it in our conversations or watching it play out. It's just disappeared from my, news feeds, and I'm not really up to date. I mean, does anyone still speaking about Q and the white hats? Is that still a topic out there? I mean, how's our fucking Charlie Wall going? I never liked him. I never liked him. He's just always just slimy to me. I was never into him.
Huge
But like
car salesman.
at State and Charlie Freak, I mean, are these people still out there producing content? Are they still around? Are we still getting this, Q obsessed focus and narrative? Even, those Q videos used to come out and there'd be what about the Q there was like an app you could get that would crack the Q codes and it would give you any Q posts that would. Did you ever have that on your phone?
No.
Yeah, it would give you any new updated Q posts, but all of that's just dispersed and disappeared. So, I mean, I don't know if it's still happening. Is it still happening?
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna have a look.
I haven't seen that kind of stuff for a long time. But I mean, when all the censoring started happening and people started losing their channels, I found it interesting that the Charlie Wards of the world kind of didn't get cancelled. But then when people started asking how come he's not getting cancelled, suddenly his channel got taken out. But then he had a new one like the next day.
Yeah,
Like on YouTube again,
yeah,
and it's like this narrative of clearly too many people are getting too close to the truth, and that's why that we had the big cancels, all the censorship and all this kind of stuff. But the real channels that were really too close, they couldn't get back up again. They couldn't start another YouTube channel. And even on they were getting censored even on other platforms. I think BitChute seems to be the freest. Her work's still definitely on BitChute, but again, it's under a myriad of channels because I've been monitoring it, but it looks like her originals was being taken down, and so other people had to upload them, right?
yeah.
And so yeah, all these people who had the truth and they knew what the white hats were doing and blah blah blah, just listen to us and sit in your chair and don't do anything. They if they get a channel taken down, they seem to just pop straight back up again with a big audience, instantly kind of thing.
Yeah, always.
And it's like, oh well, yeah, we got taken down. Ha ha ha. We just started, but so yeah, there's a lot of questions about all that narrative. I tend to think it was all just BS. It was just to get people to stop doing the work like Janet was doing, right? Because if someone else is looking after you and you can sit down and the white hats will do it and you've got all this money from the Jasara coming to you, well, what then you believe the cabal has already fallen. So why would
Yeah,
you
I
go
mean,
out and research it and put out info?
it's very interesting that we can like even having this conversation. It's probably the first kind of conversation like this we've
Wonder if
maybe
this
even
deal
ever
will
had. I
stay
don't
up.
know. But yeah, I mean, like think of the buzzwords that were happening when this documentary series came out, like Nasara and Jasara. I haven't even heard us say those words for a long time. This all the med bed technology, all the children in the underground and the tunnels, and the Q narrative and the white hats and like Trump and the Patriots, and just so much went through so strongly from 2020 through this series of documentaries. And now it's just sort of like everyone's sort of like adrift a bit. Everyone's, I mean, you and I, we were on the Tartarian process, which felt like such an evolution of that that concept, you know, to start to look at history and then trail all those thoughts back. It was a much broader picture. And we start 2024 now, and you know, like we start with a really interesting year to look at, Cambell, because we've got well, you know, obviously we've been spending some time with Uncle Lewis Walker, the Indigenous elder around here, and he's in contact with Indigenous elders from around the world. And there's this, like, we are fortunate and privy enough to be able to witness the integration that's happening with these sovereign elders from all countries and all cultures, and that they're syncing up around the year 2024, because it is prophesied that this is the year that sovereignty is returned to the original law holders. And in doing that, the fall of literally, you know, the institution, literally the governments, the councils, you name it, they're out. But on top of that, we also have the book of Revelations from the Bible. And on top of that, we have the Hopi Indians. So the Hopi Indians have put out a message and it's being sent to all the elders of the world. And this message is basically a channel message that they had received from Mother Earth. So we're going to play that for us in a minute, because all of these things sync up around the year 2024. And then, of course, Cambell, we have obviously got the predictions from The Simpsons, which, you know, now sit on alongside Book of Revelations, really, don't they? We've got the Hopi Indians, we've got Revelations, and we got The Simpsons. Like, you know, these are like three fucking, you know, strong platforms of content and truth. So I guess I wanted to go into that today on this podcast. So listen, guys, you know, we've kicked it off with a really fucking sad note, and I'm really sad about this. I'm really disappointed that we won't get to see Janet's beautiful mind continue and put out these amazing documentaries. I'm really disappointed it got cut short. I'm really disappointed that it's of such suspicious circumstances, and we'll probably never know what's actually occurred. It does make you feel unsettled and agitated by the state of this realm, that these sorts of things can go on and be so inconclusive, and so there'll be no follow-up. We'll never really ever hear or understand. Like, it's just like this life is gone and this body of work is finished. And, you know, how would you even continue to make the series? Like, you know, she was the series. So, I mean, how could I do this show without you? You know, like, what would that be? You know, it wouldn't be the show. So I get that, she, you know, continuing on would be, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, but it's a bugger that this has even happened, and then we have to start our last podcast for 2023 on this note.
Yeah, it is, you know, and you know, there's big changes, and this is obviously, you know, the system, you know, giving a message to everyone on this path, right? You know, as well as,
yeah,
you know, getting rid of a thorn in their side. It's also, you know, telling us, well, you know, blah blah. It's basically fear again, right? But I mean, in the end, you know, what are you going to live for? you can, you know, what's that saying? It's better to die on your feet than live on your knees, right? Like we're here for a reason. I mean, I don't believe, you know, life is the be all and end all. There's definitely more beyond it, and so I guess what I'm saying, don't put yourself in harm's way, of course, but you know, this I wouldn't take this as a reason to stop, you know, trying to find the truth.
I mean, like, if I think about you dying, right? If I suddenly woke up and you had passed, right here, and you'd passed, and you know, whatever, we didn't, maybe you got bitten by something, I don't know, something happened, right? You fucking went down, it's like a snake attack or something. You know, like, surely when I got on to this show and talked about you passing, like, the authentic process that I would be going through, the explanation of what would happen and the way that I would present it would be, you know, like, the audience wouldn't be left going, oh my God, suspicious death. You know, like, they wouldn't be left in that sort of, I mean, energetic, because I would just be speaking out the truth of what had just occurred. Like, it wouldn't feel like, suddenly you had been murdered under suspicious circumstances and I was being cajoled or blackmailed to speak a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and same with you. Like, if something happened to me and you got up to tell the world on our show, like, your energetic would be very, like, you'd just be very, people wouldn't question it as suspicious.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So the fact that this is being instantly finding out, and instantly the way that it's the tribute is presented by her co-partner, it just feels so fucking suspicious. All of it. It doesn't answer any questions. It just feels all wrong.
Raises questions.
Sorry, I just took it back. I took it back. Sorry.
Yeah, I read through a lot of the comments under that video, and you know, but the vast majority were all, you know, saying what we're saying, you know, either questioning it or just, you know, blatantly saying, you know, she was unlived and all this kind of stuff. So, but like you say, it's the message that's the problem. Like that, she opened with she hated life. Now, this is her best friend, right? Who she lived with for 5.5 years, who was her children's second
Hates
mother.
life.
Wouldn't even if that was a part of her, would you put that out in the public? You'd want to honor her in her life.
No, exactly. You
You'd
wouldn't.
want to honor the good stuff and how she changed the world. You wouldn't be saying, you know, it's not like, you know, if something happened to you, I'd be like, oh, Kelly. Oh, and by the way, she, you know, she hated this. I mean, why would you mind even go there?
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Unless you were either told to do that, or unless it's her trying to get, you know, a coded message, you know, to put something in there that will make people go, what the hell? You know, it's to question it. So, yeah, I mean, all it does is raise more questions, that little interview thing. And it was, you know, it was very short. You know, it's a month after the fact, as far as we know. So it's not like it was immediate. You know, we know that, you know, there's going to be a lot of emotion involved, but you know, to get yourself to the point to do that video and then to do that, it seems very strange.
Yeah.
And
it does.
Of course, there's nothing against her. Like, what I think, if anything, she's been threatened.
I know. I wonder if we re-watched it and see what sort of word choices she made, if there's any information like through the statement that she made. Obviously she's aware. She would be so aware of anyone who's going to be aware that putting out a statement like that under those circumstances is going to cause the whole movement to reject it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's been around it for, you know, just with this series for 4 years, but that, you know, I don't know if she was involved in Janet's early work, but you know, Janet has been around for a while. Like that voice, you can hear that voice on videos. I mean, I remember hearing that, you know, 10 or more years ago, like on stuff. And yeah, it just totally raises more questions than it answers.
Yep.
So, and she, like you said,
she would know that.
She must have
fucking know
known
that, of course.
Of course she would.
So what was that then?
What was it? Was it a message? Was it she had to put out a certain, you know, you have to say this, but she's like tried to work out how to say it in a way that will get other people looking into it.
Yep.
And I mean,
so I think at this point, yep.
I was going to say that's all it's going to do, right? It's not going to, you know, no one's going to go, oh my God, you know, Janet died, so let's never watch her videos again. It's just going to make them like, wow, she was onto it. Let's share this more. Let's watch it more. What else is in there?
Yeah.
It's just, and this is the thing about, you know, the nefarious ones, that they don't seem to understand. This thing happens all the time, and they try and they keep doing it, right? It's like the definition of stupidity, right? Doing the same thing, or the same thing and expecting a different result. Happens all the time. They, like the water car, you know, same thing happened to the inventor of that, but all that did was push all the, you know, the scientists and the engineers to go, wow, it worked. And they all went out and started working on those projects and trying to work out how to get it done. And now you can find hydrogen generators and for fuel systems everywhere. So I don't know what, you know, these people who try and rule us, they're clearly stupid. They're not very smart. They don't understand us and how we work is one thing. So it's weird how they do this, because, you know, you've got to wonder what they're what are they trying to do? What's their ultimate goal? Because all they're doing is really spreading this more, right?
All I can think is that the next part of it was like too ahead of their script, like too ahead of what they wanted to be released. I mean, potentially what was coming was they didn't want out there. Like, I don't know. All I know is that she, for sure, her friend, would have absolutely 100% known that every part of that message, every part of the way this has happened, would have caused every single person in the movement that were fans of Janet's to question every single part of it. She made no special effort to try to soothe that suspicion that she knew everyone would have. She made no special effort to like try to, round it off or assure us or comfort us or even name it. Of all the things that she would have been conscious of, we would have been, this is going to be appear to be like that she's been murdered. She would have known that straight up, and she would have, by that nature, assured us somehow. She would have addressed it, but nothing like that. It basically that message has made it worse, has made it even more suspicious, and she would know that. So on those topics alone, I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. I don't know if anyone out there in our community, because I'm sure this news is just broken for you all as well. Anyone does any deep diving on this or deeper research, if you do come across any sort of more content on this topic, obviously we would love to hear from you. I just feel like, but as far as we can do right now, hand on heart, hearty, and say thank you, Janet, for all of your work in this lifetime. You certainly affected my life and the thousands of people that, I sent these videos to, and everyone who ever watched it. So from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to say thank you, and we loved you. And I'm sad, man. I can feel the tears falling up. Just that we lost a good person here, and I'm sad about that. So fuck.
It's true, man. Not many people have the backbone and determination to start what she started, but to follow through with it, man. Like so much, and then being, every step of the way, she would have been, hammered, by the powers that be, and all her content taken down, and social media pages shut, and websites, everything. Like every step on that path would have been hard. Which again is, can someone with clinical depression even do that? Is that even possible? Because it doesn't seem possible to me. Like, because I mean, just as a normal YouTuber, and I've, stayed away from these topics because I know if I hit them, then I have no channel, and then I'm kind of useless, right? If I can't get anything out, so I've gone more of the track of just trying to make people think different questions and just question everything, right, kind of thing. But to go full on like her, like every step of the way, she would have been getting hit down, because even when you don't speak, get that deep, there's trolls everywhere. Like there's so many people who relish in trying to make you feel bad, whose lives depend on getting your attention, right? By making stupid videos and stupid comments, and this happens, like this has just happened recently again to me. And I've had to go through and copyright all of my material because people were taking my material, my videos, and using it against me. And then you copyright them and take it down, and they get all offended. And that's on. I'm nothing, man. I'm tiny. So imagine what she was going through, and to say that she could do that and keep going with all these issues. She hated life. I mean, makes no sense at all to me.
Yeah. And, like the thing with depression and manic depression and clinical depression and bipolar, quite often, those minds are geniuses, and they have these like massive, motivated moments where they can output work, quickly and get out there, and then they fall back in. And, I know with you and I, even if we're like, if we're a bit overheated and a bit lethargic or just the smallest things, like, like it's not like it motivates us to come and have a chat. Like we just, if we've been working or whatever, to actually be motivated to go to work and pull this off and pull this off and pull this off consistently, and never end the research, never stopping the research. Like it takes such a strong state of mind you know, like, so I'm not buying it. I'm feeling sad about it.
Takes such a passion
And
because
I'm sorry to
literally,
break the news to everyone.
to do that, you have to be the kind of person that's waking up every morning, and when you wake up, it's like, all right, I'm looking at this today, or I'm finishing this video, or
You're
I'm doing
thinking about it.
like
Yeah.
that's your life, literally. And that is a far
Yeah.
cry from someone who wakes up and says, I hate the world, it's all for nothing, I wish I was not here. Completely
Yep.
different. Like they're not even in the same hemisphere, right? They're
Yep.
so they're polar opposites basically. So none of it makes sense at all.
Well, fuck.
So
Fuck.
it's very sad, you know, and again, we're not, you know, accusing or saying that her friend has done anything nefarious, but it looks more like she's been put in a position where she hasn't had a choice and she's had to do certain things. So
I mean, and then okay, so we look at this concept, right? Like that leads us on to you know, the second part of what we wanted to talk about today, which was sort of looking at these prophecies that are coming through. And, you know, normally we wouldn't look at prophecies, but from the perspective where Cambell and I come in and having this interaction with Uncle Lewis and the Hopi Indian prophecy coming through, it's quite poignant to us. Like there's meaning there. It's not just like it's just another one that flips through YouTube or Facebook. Like it's got some, you know, depth and investment there with our elders that we're physically engaging with. So it's not lofty. So on that level, we want to share it with you guys today because it is actually being made for the elders and circulating around the world of the elders. And that's a big call. So we want to show that, and let's so I think I'll just play it now for everyone.
now, yep. And you
Yep.
were
And
lucky enough to actually see this happen. You were there helping Uncle Lewis, you know, with the technology part of it, and saw him in this conversation with elders from all around the world. And this is their law. This is they believe this 100%. They're behind it. So, you know, some good news, right? Apart from the bad, like that, it's not all, you know, it's not all doom and gloom and bad. It's very tragic, but you know, we all need to go on and finish her work, right? And I just got that scene from Star Wars in my mind. You know, it's like you can strike me down, but I'll become more powerful than you ever know. That's what's going to happen with Janet's work.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That was a solid body of work. So, all right. Well, I think I'll play the video and then so it's a little bit of watching, guys, unusual for us, but we'll play the video, then we'll have a chat about that. And let's just cross-reference that with, you know, everything else. Because 2024 has come up. I mean, we've got Nostradamus as well. Like there's a lot going on for the next sort of 12 months going into 25 that, you know, it's definitely worth us having a look at from all angles, of course. So, all right, let me just share the screen. First of all, I'll bring it up and find it, and we'll share the screen. Okay. All right, guys. So this is about 5 minutes long. So settle down and we'll see you in a sec. So
this is a message from the mother from Earth to all her children.
Yeah. All right, here you go, guys. See what you think of this. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is released November 7th, 20 around.
I am the mother. I am in the heart of the universe. Throughout all of time, I have never suffered from such heat or exhaustion. I have endured for the last 1,000 years. Since that time, my natural connection points, my rivers, reservoirs, and internal waterways across all continents have been obstructed and are full of pollution. I cannot cleanse or recuperate. In December of 2023, I will start to rise and move and turn, sending this message out to all my children around the
Well, we've
world.
certainly had that here.
The storms, the earthquakes, the hurricanes, and the rise of the ocean will come. If the governments, the sultans, the princes, presidents, and kings of the world do not listen and act, in 2 years' time, only 30% of the earth will remain.
2 years' time, Campbell.
I am the mother. I have always endured despite arrows being put in my eyes and in my body. I am not seeking to defend myself. I remain calm. But now, I must recuperate. There are 2 ways for me to heal. The first, I could take the law of nature into my own hands. This way, I will go in search of my medicine so I can cure my body, heal my energies, and all that I'm suffering from. There will be great changes upon the earth. You will feel me recovering. You will feel me moving. I will not do this to cause harm to you. It will mean I am recuperating my body. Or the second way. All my children will make the healing happen for me, so I will not need to do it myself. I will put my older children in charge of my recovery. They will go and search for my medicines, for my cure, so I can be healed and recuperate with their help. You, my children, must all be united and deliver what is needed for your older brothers so they can do the healing where I have been injured by you, my younger ones. Each one of the rulers of the world, of the governments of the world, must say, "Yes, Mother, I will stand with you. I will give my help to where you have been injured. I, your mother, have given you everything." When these changes start to happen, we will see whether you listen and act, or whether I myself will have to do what I must to recover the balance on Earth. If in just 6 months from now, by June 2024, you say, "Yes, we will provide what is needed," then my oldest children will be able to help cure my body. If this message is ignored, I will take the law of nature into my own hands, 1 year and a half from that date.
Which would be end of 25.
This is the message that the Mother has given, she who is in the heart of the world.
There you go, man.
All right. Well, I mean, I did turn that off, sorry. So, okay. Now that's something that could easily run through your Facebook feed and just be another one of those messages that we've all heard before, blah, blah, blah. The reason we're bringing it to your attention is because of its link to the elders, and that's not a group of people who you're going to fuck around with. And like, they're not the sort of, individuals who would just take any sort of message or heed any sort of video or like get caught up in, you know, any sort of fear mongering or anything like this. You know, their foundation is in harmony with natural law. They have harmony with their communication with the animals, the seasons, the plants, and the country. They have, you know, foundations in their own prophecies and their own processes and own laws. And so for the elders to be heeding this particular message and passing it on and moving it through the tribes here in Australia and moving it through the tribes all around the world, there's a lot more gravity to it. So, you know, this particular message comes with the idea that like halfway through next year, the decision has to be made. And if that decision isn't made, and unfortunately, to include the governments, princes, kings of the world is really unfortunate, because that means automatically we're just like, well, that's never going to happen.
No.
And so then it's saying, well, then at that point, the earth is going to continue forward in the mother will endeavor to start to heal her own body, which is obviously another thought process, because now we're looking at the earth being the dominant consciousness overriding, you know, this parasitic energy, overriding, you know, their manipulation of it, and is completely conscious and able to take matters into her own hands. So that's number one. And this is sort of, so like without the message being heeded, from this message, you're looking at sort of the year 2025 or the end of 2025. She said a year and a half from middle of next year. So mid 2020. Yeah, so it'll be end of 2025. Going into 2026, the earth is going to be undergoing some massive earth changes. So, and which has not, you know, like if you've been in this consciousness for a long time, the impeding earth changes events not only runs through our talks with resets, but runs through all prophecies and predictions from all different, like, you know, factions of consciousness, you know, and and the earth changes have always been consistent. You know, watch the oceans are going to rise. We're going to have a lot more storms, volcanoes, earthquakes, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the biggest one, I guess, the Watch the Water was massive during the Q days. But like for me, the one that's come out the strongest through the people that I have always, you know, enjoyed listening to is that we're looking at massive electricity in the air. Jay from Daydreamers would say the plasma apocalypse. We look, and when we did our Melbourne event, Cambell, last year or this year, you know, unfortunately, it was a bit of a downer for the audience. We did go in, we did allow everyone, all of our guests, to speak their truth and what they thought was happening. And, you know, several of them sort of aligned up with the idea of this sort of apocalyptic event that seemed to, you know, like rotate around electricity in some level, you know, whether it be plasma or, you know, electric storms or lightning, whatever. So, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I was just wondering what date is the election? We've obviously got an election in America, USA next year. I don't know if that's in the first 6 months or not, but we've also had a change of government in Brazil with the new guys basically saying that he's, you know, basically what Trump was saying, he's going to rip the whole system down because it's all evil. And so, you know, if we can have leaders that have ethics and that are human in 6 months, we may be able to avoid the worst of this. But that comes back, as it always has, to us. Who are you supporting? Because if you're supporting, you know, any person in any capacity who is hurting and not healing the earth, then you want the apocalypse. That's what you're voting for. That's what you're asking for. You're asking for the worst case scenario. And, you know, like if you still think that going to war is somehow not hurting the earth, well, I mean, so we've, you know, we have put ourselves in this position because these people who've got into positions of power to make the decisions, they can't do that without our support. And people love to, like, you know, say, oh, it's not my fault. Everyone else is evil. Well, no, we have supported them in some way, right? I mean, a lot of us, you know, we're born into this system and we don't have a lot of choice, but we all grow up and we can all think and we can all start going, that's bad, and we can start moving away from it. So I guess the point I'm making is, if you haven't started moving away from the system yet, which is clearly the problem, then maybe you've only got 6 months. What are you really doing here? Because so many people
Well,
watch these videos and they talk a lot, and they're going to wake everyone else up, but not themselves. Everyone else, they got to wake up because they don't have to change, right? What do you really do? Like, we're down to the nuts and bolts now, right? We really are. And the reason that nothing has changed yet is because nothing has changed yet. People are still supporting the evil people who want to rule us. So that's, I'm not saying again that we should all run out and live naked in the mud, but we can all make moves to,
I
to, to
mean,
get away from the system and to only support people that are supporting humanity and the earth.
well, I mean, from this perspective, like you're looking at, I mean, from this perspective, like she's talking about some massive, massive natural disasters, and do what thy will. I mean, because so then if we put that up against Revelations, and because that's obviously the Christian, it seems to be that we're at the phase of the reset, the recycle, where the Christian crusades have rised again. Obviously, this has been an interesting topic for you and I, because obviously one of our very close friends has, become a reborn Christian. And once again, that's enabled us a deeper conversation around the topic of Christianity. And we're eternally grateful when anyone around us, stakes a claim on any sort of consciousness and is open for discussion. Like, that's like so powerful. So we really honor anyone who has the audacity and courage to say, yes, this is it for me. So on the Christian topic, because it does feel like the Crusades are back, and the Christian Crusades are about to run amok all around the world again. I don't know, I just get that feeling. So from the book of Revelations, obviously we're right at that time where they talk about the four fallen angels who have been buried entombed deep into the earth, who will be at the exact hour, on the exact day, and the exact month, and the exact year, rised again from Christ, from God, to deliver the final, most evil personification on this realm, which will, and this is why it's interesting, I bring it up, because in Revelations it says that that they will raise an army of millions, and that 70% of the world's population will be murdered, basically, genocided. 70%, which is really interesting with the Hopi trace, because they said 30% would survive. So again, the same 70-30% number ratio breakdown.
And we hear thirds, the Trinity, the 33, like there's threes and thirds everywhere. Like, it's everywhere.
And it's so weird. How weird is it that like the script is so set that like they can all be on the same numbers, that they know that, like, even in the Hopi, I'm not going to hold the Hopi one up as any more special than the Revelations one, because like they're all still words to us. But for them to both say 30% of the population would survive, I mean, that's such specific numbers. Like, we are literally operating from a script, literally. I mean, it's trippy and annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jason's work talks about the cycles, and this happens all the time, and it's a simulation, which is basically a script that we're playing out. A lot of other channels talk about that. This is literally, we're just running a script where there is no free thought or any of this kind of stuff. And it's interesting that it's all coming to a head now. And when we've seen the changes in the last couple of years, we've seen what people are doing. In those who wish to rule us, are they trying to fulfill the prophecy themselves? I would say 100% yes, definitely. Can they do that and win? I would say 100% not. No way. You can't fight Earth if you're a little amoeba on it. So it's going to be interesting. But one thing I'm pretty sure is true is that these people, they're not going to give up. The ones who rule us, they're not going to give up their power and say, "Oh, we're sorry. Now we're for the Earth. Let's go out and fix it." Like, of course, they give us that narrative, right? But why do you think they give us that narrative of, global warming, so we're here to help you, all this, obviously nothing ever gets better, but they're doing that to get people to follow them. right, to support them. And so this is sort of what I was getting to. Like, if you're supporting them and their narrative, you're putting yourself in the 70%, as far as I can see. And I mean,
But I mean, why would we even
crap,
choose these numbers? You know, what the fuck is that? Like, you know, literally we're talking about some sort of, you know, predetermined script that everyone's just like taken and trying to manipulate. Like, you know, like, okay, so let's just talk. So apart from the revelations and what's, you know, meant to happen, then the Simpsons obviously have their predictions of 2024. You know, I don't know what technology they're using. Obviously, we're all aware the Simpsons are very accurate with their predictions well into the future, and they talk about 2024, and some of those things include an AI takeover, which we may have already experienced, but theirs was literally in the form of robots. One of the predictions I read was that the fallen angels, the army that they raise, are actually AI robots, that humanity there's no way across the board humanity could slaughter the whole world. And, you know, be considered humanity. Like, that it potentially could be robots that do this terrible slaughtering. I mean, how else are you going to kill 70% of the population, if not through the lack of emotions of a robot? Like, you know, but then there's also one that I watched many years ago. You guys may have been familiar with Major Dames, who was the head teacher, I guess, for the remote viewing faction of the military. And he like retired a couple of years back and released a series of documentaries. One was called The Kill Shot. And he said wherever they were remote viewing, they would come up to these this event that would and they couldn't ever not see it. It was just such a big thing. And that kill shot, basically, there was 3 signs leading up to the event, because as you know, with remote viewing, you don't know where you are in time when you're remote viewing. You can only work backwards. So you can only go back in time to get to where you are currently. So there was 3 events that preceded what he termed as a kill shot. So on that last event, he said that what everyone was seeing when they remote viewed was that all the armies of the world, no matter what war you're fighting, it's so crazy that we even have armies of the world. But anyway, all the armies of the world were all suddenly, all at the same time, stopped what they were doing. They all just looked up to the sky. All of them systematically looked up to the sky, you know, basically freaked out, turned white, and then immediately returned home. No matter where they were in the world, no matter what was going on, no matter what war they were in, they all desired to return home. And then there was this thing called the kill shot, which in his remote viewing came down to the sun. So it was either a solar flash, solar flare, an EMP, or maybe there was 2 suns, but something happened with the sun that was global enough that affected every single human being, and it put an end to war immediately. So, I mean, that's another one that I've heard a lot about.
Yeah. I mean, even with Project Looking Glass, they were talking about an event that they couldn't get past.
Yeah.
You know, that there is something there that we have to go through, right? Because if we don't go through it, then everything stops, right? Like the Earth, you know, stops being the Earth, basically. So, you know, we've definitely hit, and I think most people, you know, feel it and realize it, that we're at a point that we have to make a decision. Where do we want to go? Which direction do we want to take? And when you really think about it, it's not even a decision, right? It's just like, are we going to go back and be human and stop listening to these people that are destroying the world around us and ruling us, or are we going to keep going down that path? I mean, that's really the only decision, isn't it? Like, you're either for the Earth and for humans, or you're not.
And I mean, like, honestly, Campbell, at the end of the day, I don't know anyone who's not. I mean, that's the thing, right? When we start to look at these prophecies and this whole process and all of this shit that goes on, like, if you take it back to your actual life, which is really all you've got to truly, you know, have turned into your own wisdom. That's all you've got, your own personal experience. No one in my life stands against the Earth. There are different, like, degrees of that. Obviously, there's people, you know, like me, who like live and fully are immersed in and on country, and just that's the lifestyle I love and have chosen. There are people like my family and friends in the cities who completely conscious of the earth and being in alignment with it, but not so sold on this worldwide agenda and not quite, in the realms of, the rabbit holes we go down. But none of them stand opposed to human life and animal life and nature. Like, none of them want to be in war. None of them would commit crimes that we hear about circulating in these sorts of predictions in a million years. Like, literally, humanity is not who are being referred to here. So to me, humanity was born already in the right frequency of the right choice. Like, you can't help it. You grow up as a kid, you're innocent, you love your animals, you like your family, like, you're already that. Like, no one we know and no one our audience knows, I highly doubt, they would put down to someone who is capable of joining an army of this description and carrying out such diabolical. It's all in the movies.
Yeah,
I mean, do you
clearly
disagree?
that there is a lot of people, and they're probably from, older generations than us, that don't see war as a bad thing necessarily.
Oh, but they've all been through war, Cambell.
They just think it's normal, right?
But they've been
think
through war,
and
and it's fucked them up.
yeah, I know, but still, they still, support, different, regimes. We have to go and do this. I mean, it's getting less and less and less as we go along. But I mean, to me, when I was like, God, I was like under 10 when I realized war, and I'm like, what? Anyone who can push this forward in any way is just evil. And why
I know.
most people don't have that. Most people are like, oh, but but we have to.
I know.
And so that is supporting the system. So I think that's what we really need to ask the hard questions. Like, I was talking to a cop, right, the last time I got abducted, and he was like, oh well, I've had
Abducted.
I've had the kill shot, but I had to because I've got a family and I've got a job. And I'm thinking, clearly you don't have all the information on that, but you have made a decision that obeying to stay in the system is a much better option than standing by your morals. And that, I think, just that bit is the problem that most people do. Sure, they're doing it for their family, but it's like, if you're supporting the system that is killing your family for your family, if you know what I mean, like, there's
I totally know what you mean.
thinking that they don't understand it, but it doesn't mean that's not what they're doing.
But there's like another like, this is a whole other level, isn't it? Like, when you talk about a police officer who's fucking just working to get paid and is like morally not as, is morally is corrupt, basically.
Yeah, well, but to him, he's doing the right thing to help his family, right?
Could you imagine an army being raised that would actually genocide the entire world?
I've seen the cops in Melbourne in 2020 beating people up, pushing over grannies. I've seen the same thing all around the world. I've seen, yes.
But they were convinced that they were trying to say. But what are they going to tell an army that's going to slaughter the world?
So
what are they going to tell an army?
That we're all evil, that we're all got some weird disease that's going to kill them, that whatever, that they're going to tell them whatever works is what it is, because you can't get an army to go and fight for no reason, that there has to be some moral grounds for them to do it. But as we know from all past wars, that's just a story. And if you can get people to believe it, then, because in America, it's probably a bit different now, but, definitely back in the 80s and 90s, it was still looked on as a really good thing to go and serve your country, which basically means go and sign up to become a murderer and go and, join the army, travel the world, meet people you've never met and kill them.
Yep. No, I agree with all of that. I do. I don't know. Like,
it's time for tough decisions, and people really need to get real with themselves, I think is what I'm trying to say.
But, how many, we don't even know what the population of this realm is. Like, any statistics or facts we've ever been given about the populations of countries are fucking bollocks. I just know it. Like, that is just another programming tool. We've literally got no concept of how many people are on this realm, how many people are here. Of course, by purposefully. Why would it be of benefit for the ruling agenda to really keep the population up to date with how many of us there are? Like, and this brought us back to a conversation we were having about the Bible, because like it or not, wherever you are in consciousness right now, if you're going down the truth like pathways, you are going to come up against the Bible and Christianity specifically now, and dramatically moving into the next couple of years, as what is in Revelations in the Bible, all those prophecy will appear to come to pass. They will appear to come to pass, and as they come to pass, more and more people will be convinced in the accuracy of the Bible. Yeah. And this is an interesting thing. And because if you take the Bible as the truth, then you're like immediately taking this idea of demons and God as truth. You're immediately putting these two polarized perspectives of there being this savior God, who, if you do not take into your heart as your Lord and Savior, you're doomed to purgatory for the rest of your existence. Bear in mind that Christianity only has one lifetime. So like depending on whatever circumstance you're born, if you're just unfortunate enough to be born in fucking India and grow up with Gesla, then you're going to permanent purgatory in hell for all time. And then you set up this the opposing polarity of the demonic satanic realm, which both of them wield ultimate power. And we are once again just like the little fodders, the little ignorant sheepling fodders in the middle of that are basically having to negotiate these two huge superpowers, I guess, that like dramatically impact our lives, and yet we don't know anything about it. You know, like the Bible, the whole process of Christianity is so full of conjecture, and so, you know, it's so full of judgment of yourself and others, and so divisionary, so unclear.
We have these narratives of, you know, God's army, right?
God's army,
that's a good question, right? Like, is it possible? Do you think it's possible to get millions, tens of millions of Christians into God's army and to set them out to defeat the evil? Now, the evil, they're not going to know. They're going to be told what the evil is, right?
Just like the
Crusades. So the whole problem with that is you could do that to both sides, right?
Yes.
But the problem is that none of them are seeing that the act of war is the evil part.
Yes.
And they are both involved in it. They're both contributing to that. So this is what I'm saying. Like, if you're led, you know, so I think they could definitely do it. You know, it's just indoctrination, right? And that's the enemy. Let's go. You're on the side of good. But you need to stop and think, is killing someone, especially someone you don't know, for someone else's means, is that ever good? And they don't stop and ask that question. They're so involved with, I'm fighting for God, or I'm fighting for whatever, right? And so that they put themselves in, I'm in the good position, and then they go out and do atrocious things. We've seen this all throughout our history.
100% agree.
Without anyone ever stopping and going, hang on, the evil here is us acting in a warlike fashion.
Yes,
that's the evil.
Yep, I can totally concur with that. And you and I watched an interesting movie the other day, which the theme of which seems to repeat itself in many films, but it was called Extinction.
Extinction.
And like, we're going to ruin the plot, so quickly delete, like silence us now. But, you know, basically the idea was like that, you know, the humans got invaded by this basically extraterrestrial force that just lay siege to them in the cities. They're just like walking around with guns and technology that just killed everything and everyone, no exceptions. They were just after all life. Like, it wasn't now, which was like, obviously we've seen this theme in many movies, but the one that what was quirky about it was at the end of the movie, we worked out that the humans walking around on the earth in the cities like us were actually AI. And the people who had invaded and killed them all were actually the original humans that had been
created them in the start.
And they were off planet. So if they're on another realm, like in other outer lands, had been told that they need to come in and take back their planet from these, you know, this force that had taken over them. So, you know, like, that's viable in, you know, we saw that there was a movie Tom Cruise did that was similar, energetic to that. And
with the alien attacks.
Oblivion, was it Oblivion?
Tomorrow?
Or I just, but
Oblivion was the one, where he was living with that girl and they were sucking all the gold out of the ocean.
Exactly. So I mean, like, that movie referenced that there had been a war in the past. That war, they had lost, or the humans had lost, and they were fighting for their survival against this enemy, and we lived on the ruins of that war. And then it's the same theme here. There was a war in the past. The AI won. The robots had won. The humans were removed from the realm, who knows where to, and then eventually ended up coming back to take back their planet and destroy life on the planet. So that inversion is definitely viable as a possibility.
And even in Extinction, you know, they capture one of the humans, the invaders, and realize he's a human, and he ends up saying, you know, they're like, wait, because he ends up helping them. And like, why are you helping us? And he's like, well, I didn't sign up for this. I was just told that, you know, you're all evil robots and you're just out to kill us. But I come down here and I found out that, you know, you're actually families and things, and you're acting like humans. And so it's the same narrative, right? He went in and to kill everything because he had been told that they were evil. And then he actually got down there and learnt. And this is, you know, not talking about the AI aspect of it, but it's just, you know, this happens all the time, right? You get in there, they're evil, go, and then you get in, you realize they're humans, just like you. And it's like, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. And it's not that you're on the wrong side, it's that you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not good, bad, it's just war. Killing is the wrong thing. It's not the perspective of where you're coming from or why you're doing it. It's the act of killing.
Yeah. I concurred. And, you know, like, it was really interesting because this whole conversation, it led us to, you know, like, what is the actual population of the realm? And then we think, okay, like, if you think back to the Wizard of Oz, and, like, you know, you got the emperor, that little midget dude behind the green curtain, like, everyone's terrified of the emperor in the green city, but, you know, it's just one dude, like, wielding no power at all apart from special effects. Like, we had a really fantastic conversation with a really good friend of ours, Cassie, on the weekend. Really great. And, you know, hey Cass, and, like, for us, like, her perspective on it was, I loved it. I loved the conversation. It was really enjoyable. And, you know, it's going through this process that, like, you know, what if it's just all humans? What if you take away all the stories and all the biblical stories and all the stuff, that all the movies, all the popular culture, all that stuff, and took that all away and just saw them as humans, power-hungry psychopaths that have survived whatever we went through, whatever that last war was, whatever that last reset was, whatever took down the old, that they were the survivors. And they've come back with the information, coveted the information, and then come back and ruled over the originals and the remaining. And, you know, and even in doing that, they potentially could have been the ones that repopulated using the technology that was part of their realm, but no longer part of ours. So genetically modifying or genetically producing these, you know, babies like that we saw all around the Tartarian stuff. Like, it's not inconceivable if they just had, you know, that technology more advanced than ours, and then, like, kept it, retained it, were underground military bases or whatever it was, and then resurfaced as the elite, but power-hungry psychopaths. And if they just, you know, kept the bloodlines going down, the knowledge going down, and creating these, you know, intense thought forms through ritualistic magic and focus, like what we would see as satanic rituals or whatever. And those thought forms have manifested themselves into energetic expressions that we could put down to demonic interference. But actually, it could just be psychopathic humans, like, you know, you manipulating us through technology, manipulating us through special effects, through military technology, manipulating the weather through weather technology. Like, basically, we could just be the end result of deep manipulation through advanced technology, mind control technology, voices in our heads, or running off electrical grid, all that shit. And we've just spent the last 200 years building the mainframe, which has turned, the whole earth has turned into the mainframe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're building the weapons for them. And this is the thing why it's, you know, it's pretty dangerous to believe stuff that you don't have proof. To believe something is true when you can't prove it and you don't have the proof for it, that can be dangerous. Apart from it can put you in a box, and it always will, it can be dangerous, right? People who are following other people's beliefs based on nothing but the opinion, and they've been told it, they do the most horrendous things. the most
Yeah.
horrendous things, right? But we live, you know, we've got all these books and all these stories and all these spirit and spiritual stuff, but can we prove any of that's true? What we can prove is there are physical humans that are evil, they're doing the wrong thing, that they have no morals, no ethics. It's all about them. They will, you know, cut down anyone, stand on anyone to get themselves up
Yeah.
higher. That's provable. We can see that.
Yeah.
We can read about that in government policy.
Yep. They
Literally,
deliberately destroy the environment,
yeah,
deliberately
all the
destroy the earth.
time.
Yep.
But then there's a big belief that it's, oh, you know, they're all being controlled by, you know, whatever, right? The devil, Satan, the demiurge, blah, 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 blah. And look, that may or may not be true, but can we prove it? So,
Yeah.
so what I'm trying to say is, if it's not provable, then it may be false. And if it may be false, then you putting energy into it, you know, you can be basically working for the dark side, right? All we know is the physical. And I think if we bring it back to that with what we can actually deal with, it makes things so much easier,
Oh
so
yeah,
much less
taking out the
complicated.
boogeyman.
Yeah, man, take
Taking out
out the
this
boogeyman.
invisible force.
Not the
Like,
boogeyman, it's that actual politician standing in front of you.
yeah, exactly. And if like you look at sort of again back to the population, how many of us there are versus how many of these psychopaths there are, like we know them. Basically, they're in the spotlight. They're the people that you know. They're the ones in that fill out the elite institutes. They're the ones that fill out Hollywood, the music industry, the news industry, the blah blah blah. You guys know this. You know who they are. Like it's not like there's like millions of them in the background that we don't know about. Like there are people. Like, you know, I know the people in my life. I know the people are broadly around my life, but like there's literally behind me, there's billions of people, millions of people. I don't know. There's a lot of people behind me. I'm never going to know. I'll never know their name. I won't know nothing about them, but they exist on this realm with me at the same time. But when it comes to this psychopathic agenda, like they are the ones that fill out the spotlight. You know, like so like ultimately there's not very many of them.
No,
So they have to,
and then the solution's kind of simple. Stop supporting them.
all
Stop
right.
buying
So
their music. Stop watching their television. Stop
well,
supporting
I mean,
policies. All this kind of start moving away from their system.
I think
Without
everyone
us, they're not much at all.
oh, I think everyone here listening to us has already done that for like that's all that's goes without saying. Like, you know, but I still think there's some negotiation to go through with how one negotiates moving forward, particularly through this Christian conversation. Because like I am certain that there's a script playing out and what's in the Bible is part of that script and it's going to come to pass. And as it comes to pass, more and more people are going to be convinced that it's the pathway. But as Cambell and I've checked it out, like really looked at it with open minds and open hearts, we have, you know, the most basic question we started with, well, who owns the Bible? who produces and publishes it?
Are they profiting? Oh,
Who
my battery might run out soon too, by the way.
Okay, who publishes like the Bible since the Bible's conception? Since it was released, who was behind the publishing of it? Who built the churches? Who paid for the churches? Who paid for the biblical scholars? Like, where has all this content come from? And every single step of the way, it's come from the same agenda. It's come from the same people, the same publishing houses. I mean, the King James Bible, you were
King
telling me.
James, owned by the Royals, released
Yep.
in 1611.
Yep.
And the first thing that happened is they wanted to get more out, so they had to bring in more printers, and straight away, fights over money. So it was all to do with money from day dot. And now the Royals are making, I mean, I don't know, like there's a lot of King James Bible sold, a lot of money, because they own that. And you got to wonder to yourself, are the Royals the kind of people that live like Jesus, that live by those rules? I would say not. And then what did you follow, the good news or something, and you ended up at bloody Disney.
Disney owns that. Yep. And then you think of who paid for the churches, these houses of God, you know, where did all this content come from? And what exactly does this content do? If you take Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then you're instantly following you're called on to drop every other modality, every other practice, every other process, every other community, every other healing tool you've ever come across, any other process that you've ever utilized. You go through this really intense self-judgment, and then inevitably you can't help but you judge everyone else. And then there's a division is created, and you feel like you're on the path and no one else is on the path. And then, like you feel isolated. And basically everyone I've ever met who has ever gone hardcore into the Christian, well, I'm going to say programming, but consciousness, come out of it with their lives pretty fucked up because they've lost, all the things and tools and people and, healings that they always thrived on and loved. Like, so and also it sets it up to prove that to you that there is only one path and everyone else is wrong. Right. All other thought forms are wrong. All other consciousness is wrong. And that, at the end of the day, you're going to be sitting there at the gates of heaven on this day of Revelations, this great big day where Christ comes down and marks you. And you're going to be standing there watching like 90% of everyone you loved and cared for, family, friends, and children, and then the whole world being sent to purgatory for the rest of their lives by default. I mean, what a miserable vibration to enter heaven.
And one of the main dogmas of Christianity is don't judge, turn the other cheek, love everyone. And that, but by becoming a Christian, you can't do any of that. Like you said, you have to judge people because anything that's not Christian doctrine is evil, right? And this is the problem. But, you went to India recently and you were saying that there's so many different religions and so many gods that everyone is really nice to each other. Everyone respects each other and respects each other's beliefs because they have. And so that they're living a lot more like Jesus preached to live than most Christians.
100%.
It's
100%.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
and that just shows the programming, right? That can happen. When people believe this, you can raise God's army.
Indeed. And then you look at this whole process of like, so say there is some script, some cyclic nature of this realm, and they have it and they know this is coming. And then they create this whole religion around it. And then they, put out this book and this Bible and, and so like inevitably this Bible, like it continues to like show itself as truth. Like because it's following a script, but the script is the same people who basically are the ones that want to scare you. So just say they are psychopaths and that there aren't demons and there aren't like these God saviors, that there's just an evolving human race. I was setting up the concept that this book, this religion, but particularly this book, potentially has always been produced by, the negative agenda, always been funded and produced, potentially all the biblical scholars as well. All the archaeological, everything to do with Christianity, the churches, cathedrals, all the institution, everything, the tax brackets, the tax write-offs, all of it, Christmas included, Easter included, total commercial adventures, all of that included, has from the very beginning, from anything that's ever been released on the topic, has come out of the same agenda that basically opposes it. Now, it's also forced into the majority of schools. So Christianity has run through all the programming and all the education, like it's basically been pushed. And of course, it's behind the biggest genocide in the world. Of course, it's behind all the genocide of the indigenous around the world. It's just like this ghastly movement that has been pushed forever, but always produced by the same people. So if you look at it like that, and you can conceptualize that actually we're only talking about psychopathic humans here. We're not talking about, like, when they set up a concept like the Bible and religion, they're literally setting up this concept of demons and God. They're literally setting up these almighty powers that we, the humans, are the victims of, and we have to make the right choice. And if we don't make the right choice, and we have to make it without any information, if we don't make the right choice, with the information we have, then we're going to hell for all the time. We're going, like it's so. It is one of the ultimate programs. Well, the ultimate programs, and man, does it bring you in. And what does it do? It offers you two like quite horrendous books, the Old and the New Testament. And the old one is just like really, 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 really shite. It's really, really, really violent and bloody and horrendous. And it hates women. Like the two books hate women. And so where's the goddess in the movement? It doesn't fucking exist. Like, they literally hate women. And what do they tell you? It's a good Christian person now as a woman. You're there, man, to be a good Christian wife. That's your role. Be a good Christian wife. Serve your man.
Told what to do, man. You need direction. Can't think.
What do all the women do in the Bible? What are all the female characters? They're prostitutes, they're whores, they're wives.
Yeah, exactly right. But I mean, you think about it, like if you were a small minority of psychos and you wanted to take over the world, how would you
Exactly.
do it? I mean, clearly they don't have the armies, right? At least when they started. So what do? You invent something. Oh, well, there's this spiritual thing. What's spiritual? Well, it's just something you can't touch or see, but it can say and touch you, and it's going to come and get you if you don't do what we tell you, and then you're going to burn in hell for eternity. Oh, that's such a control mechanism, right? And that's how you would do it. Because, like I said, they wouldn't have
And
had the physical armies at that point.
exactly. And it takes your relationship and your truth away from the earth. It takes you far away because according to the Bible, this is a place you're trying to escape from.
Mm,
This is the hell realm. This is hell. This is hell, and you're trying to get to heaven, basically. And
Yeah.
what does that say about the power of the earth? When in reality, something caused the last reset, and it wasn't just a technology. Obviously, the mud flood is part of this concept. Like something caused an earth event.
Yeah.
You know, which, and then of course all the indigenous, they would always say, look, you know, like we met Jesus, he's a good guy, he was just a brother of three, like he's a good man, like he existed. But you know, was he part of their creation stories? No fucking way. And did they ever create a religion around him? Absolutely not. And they would tell you that in their terminology, the Bible is tribal, as in the Bible is the living organism of country, of the earth. That's what it is. It'll tell you everything you need to know. You understand how to listen to animals, talk to, you know, listen to nature, observe the way the bark's falling, observe what, you know, beetles are out, observe what the animals are doing. Then you will have foretelling of what's to come.
Yeah.
That nature itself will give you all the input and the power of foresight and psychic abilities, basically.
Yeah. I mean, for the indigenous people, spirit is nature. It's the earth. It's tangible. You can sit in it. You can observe it. You can get lessons from it. But all religions, oh no, it's somewhere out there, somewhere that you can't go.
Yeah.
So we'll interpret the messages for you. All right, just listen to us. We promise we won't lie to you. We'll tell you all about it, but you can't go there. You can't observe it. You can't interact with it. But you know, if you don't do what we tell you, then you'll burn in hell for all eternity or whatever, you know, the thing may be. And you know, that's again, it just puts us in such a place of powerlessness, right?
It
You
truly
can
does.
you can work with nature and have reverence for it, and you can get subsistence. You can live off it for your whole life, right? You can't live off praying. You know, man cannot live off prayer alone and worship alone, right? You know, and that's not to mention all the atrocities, and this is across most religions. The thing that really gets to me about all that stuff is, you know, they always come out, right? Oh, sorry, we're sorry. Not one priest has ever gone to jail, ever. They've not even lost their job or their position, right? It's never nothing ever happens. It was like in Australia, right? We had like the Prime Minister come out, you know, little Johnny Howard, and say sorry. Doesn't mean anything. Nothing happened. But all the people, oh, we said sorry. Oh, no, he said sorry.
I think it was Kevin Rudd, even worse.
Was it Kevin? Bloody Kev.
But I mean, it's true. Like,
nothing happened,
where's
you know?
God's process? If God existed in all truth, like,
And if God
certainly,
existed, like, he would be striking the church down for what it have done. If Jesus was around today, he would be in the Christian churches flipping the tables and trying to find the, you know, can I even say that word? You know, the pea priests, you know, like that's the most ungodly thing in the Bible. It says, "Blessed are the children," right? It doesn't say, "Priests, go and have your way with the children," which is what they're doing, which is just the ultimate sacrilege. But all they do is, "Oh, we're sorry, won't happen again."
But Christians would tell you that's not real Christianity. They would tell you that's the perverted, you know, psychopaths within the religion. But if you look at like go on.
Problem to me is they both use the same book.
They do.
Same values, same rules, same book.
Yep. same dates, same moral code, same everything.
So it, it's like, how do you get around that? I mean, great, and I would agree. They're definitely they're not nothing to do with Christianity, and I don't know what the split is, but there's definitely a lot more of these, whatever they're called, New Age churches, or alternative churches, where they try and get rid of the bad stuff. But I mean, we've seen as well, man, all these evangelists, man, they're just as bad. Like, so many of them have been caught doing the wrong thing, whether it's the children, or just extorting money, embezzling money, playing around on their wives. It's just rampant through that whole new church kind of thing as
because
well, man.
all you have to do is accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and all your sins are forgiven.
Well,
and so carry on.
that's one of the worst rules ever, right? And I mean, even in traditional Christianity and Catholicism, it's like, okay, well, you can absolve your sins, and so go and say 20 Hail Marys. Not go and work and fix up the crap you've done, and try and work on yourself and actually do something. No, just here's your rosary beads, 20 Hail Marys, and you're good to go.
I know, you can really see how they'll
this and this.
Like, you can really see the setup that's going on there, like, I mean, it's like, if you've accepted Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, as your being, and then you've got a few signs and revelations coming true because it's part of the script and was always going to come true. Hello, problem, reaction, solution will create the problem, that you're here in this world of purgatory and you've got to get out of it. We'll like garnish your reaction with all of our guiding you through this process, and we'll give you the ultimate solution that we wanted in the first place. Same thing, same people, same issue. You could see how they could then be convinced as a movement to do Jesus's work on the planet, and whatever that next step is, to like cleanse or genocide or whatever the fuck it is. But like, you can see how it's definitely a very big sticky point of contention. Now, when you take away Jesus Christ and you take away God and all sense of gods, and that instantly removes demons, that instantly removes Satan, that instantly removes that, and then suddenly you're left with psychopathic people and loving people, psychopathic people, loving people, and there's not many psychopathic people, and there's a shitload of loving people. And suddenly you start to realize, like, when are you going to wake up and understand this? And this is a conversation we had with Cass. Like, at the end of the day, it's just people and people. And so if it's just people and people, the only way that this is ever going to stop and change is if the people decide to change it and remove the psychopaths who have taken over control. Now, obviously the side factor of this is we live on a huge consciousness called Earth. And like, I changed my screenshot here because I wanted to show you here. This is, let me screen share, just on this topic alone. This is, can you see this picture?
Yep.
All right. So this is taken from Brisbane one day ago.
Is that a photo?
This is a photo. I think it was like a time lapse. I think it was like a time lapse photo.
Yeah.
From Brisbane one day ago. Now, Cambell and I sat out here and we also watched the lightning around us, and it was like this. It was fucking awesome. But like, to show you what an electrical storm looks like above a city, I mean, that's pretty intense, right? So and that's like, and they've really gone hard with manipulating the weather. They've done so much and I would say the vast majority of harm that the Hopis were talking about through that channeling was actually weather manipulation, because at the end of the day, the pollution and on the cutting down the trees, yes and no, but the stuff they do with the atmosphere, that's like a whole other game, like that's interfering with the mechanics, the engine, I guess, the movement of the flow, and to actually see what an electrical storm looks like. Because bear in mind, there was no rain. We didn't get any rain. There was no rain. This is just lightning, a lightning storm, and that's incredibly dangerous. Really scary stuff.
Yeah, that was,
I mean, that looks
like the apocalypse, man.
That looks hellish enough, doesn't it? Like, you could imagine this sort of stuff happening naturally as the earth counteracts and moves to heal. That you could totally say this is Revelations coming to pass. This is, this is the war between light and dark, But what if it's just the war between psychopathic humans and loving humans? Service to self, service to others. What if it's just the war of some psychopaths gone crazy and there being a
Yeah, man. Like, what if all good people stood up and never let these people tell them what to do and never followed their lead? We wouldn't be in this situation at all. So all their real power is just manipulation, lies, and all this kind of stuff. We've never seen devils fly in and take people away. Or
I've
God
never
come
met
in and
anyone
save
possessed.
people. I've
I've
never
never
met anyone I would call possessed.
I've never met any one who needs an exorcism. I've never met anyone who's like being taunted by demons in their head. I haven't.
Yeah, and then there's lots of tribes around around the world who do certain ceremonies, and they literally conjure spirits.
Yeah.
And so that they're connecting all their collective energy together and focus
Yep.
and intention on one point and creating something out of that. There's a tribe in Africa, and they have this hat, like this big straw hat thing. And they have this big ceremony, and then this hat just starts floating and flying around and stuff. And there's video of it and everything. But that's something that they've created on the spot. So that's what we're saying. Is this what the devil or demons? Is this what it is? Collective intention and energy focused on something. And so these people are doing stuff, and they're like, "Oh, look, yes, we created a demon." Oh, and then they because they believe that they've brought in it, like they might believe they're channeling it, but they've actually created it. So then they start listening to it, and it's really just their thoughts bouncing back and forth between it. And it comes down to the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other, right?
Which are the same thing.
And ultimately,
consciousness and energy creates the nature of reality.
Yes.
Consciousness and energy creates the nature of reality.
Good. And everyone says we can manifest, we're creators, but they seem to stop at, well, we create the devils too, and the gods, right?
Exactly. So like when we as humanity like come together and use our energy and our consciousness, we change reality. And this is part of a truth on this realm that's probably been known for all time. Lots of technology probably got created around that. So that basic knowledge was like a foundation of potentially the last reset's technology base, as in that's where all this mind manipulation, all that energetic came from, like the ability to understand that humans, use their consciousness and energy and they create reality. So like if we take away all the and then also, of course, like the other thing it's about the Bible is that it's basically channeled. Like basically it's all stories of people seeing the Lord or Christ, the angels, and it's all channels. So essentially exactly the same thing as all the other channels out there, except the Bible says don't listen to any other channeled message ever because they're demons.
All prophecy and channeling is evil.
All demons.
Here's a book that's been channeled that ends in a prophecy. Believe
not demons.
And this
but
is
everything else.
And when it's something out there that you can't touch, you can't take responsibility for it, right? It's not my fault, man. There's demons out there.
Yeah.
Demons. When you take them out of the equation and it's just people, well, you got not many excuses left, right?
I know. And this is quite extreme, Cam, because in the Bible it's like you can't use sage because it brings in demons. You can't use as incense.
Which is,
renowned for demons.
God's creation. It's a plant.
Yep. But I mean, you can't listen to any. But then, like, if you're going to say that, like, there's a God out there that's channeling the Bible, then why aren't there other like human beings on external realms, like extra land realms? I mean, this is potentially what we're looking at, right? We talked about this the other day. That you've got the fat realm. You've got continents around that we know about. Then you've got the next version out, and we're going through this extended landmass that has been like hidden from us. Potentially, that was where the war came in between this current landmass and the next layer that we don't know about, or that we're getting a sense of it with the old maps. And the war happened in between those two. Potentially, the psychopaths have come in from the outer realms. And here they live as gods, but they're on their realm, they're scum of the earth. you know, but here they live as gods and manipulate the whole thing. So we've got this whole process of like, just humans playing out humans. So if that's the case, then why can't there be other groups of humans in other realms that want to serve us and help us and support us and fight this madness?
Yeah, exactly right. Maybe they're the spirits from the outer realms. I mean, if you look at like the babushka dolls, right? It could be like that. We're in the middle and we've got a dome over us. Then the next bit, there's another dome over them. And so that would give them a different atmosphere, would make them different kinds of beings, maybe giant, who knows? Then out there, past their dome, there's another one and another one.
Yep.
And some people have worked out how to get between them. And maybe that's through the ocean, right? Under the ocean.
Yep.
Maritime
Space
law.
water.
Who knows, right? And so this could just be completely physical. And they come in and say, look, we're gods, we're the gods. Where'd you come from? Oh, we come from the sky,
Yep.
Worship us, or, and they'd probably have advanced weaponry. So I'd be like, worship us. No, take the first guy's head off. Are you going to worship us? Oh, yeah, I'll worship you. Please don't kill me.
Yep,
God.
basically. Which it feels like, yep, exactly.
So
exactly. And then,
because the main thing we don't know, this is what, kind of annoys me a lot, is people put all their faith and energy and everything into stuff that they can't prove.
Oh, 100%.
But they don't know. You don't
yeah, you don't know. You've got to, if
knows
you
what happens
settle,
after death.
I know, because if you settle on if you settle on something, like if you settle on Christianity, then that's it. Like you stop with the Inquisition, you stop with the inquiry, and then what happens? Where does that take you? It takes you into a room without doors, only one path through it. And the irony of all this is that if you settle on any concept like that, then what actual good what are you doing? What service are you providing? Like if you settle on the earth, if you settle on like the earth being that thing, then the actions you take from there on in is going to be in service to the environment that supports every life form on this planet. Like it's fucking good, like it's big. You start to take the earth seriously and start to move alongside her and support your indigenous, support that movement, then you're literally regenerating the environment that supports all life. Like that's pretty good. That's a pretty good way to live your life.
Yeah, not if you're a Christian, man. If you're a Christian, you're not good unless you're at church on Sunday. It doesn't matter what you do. You can be out
like
there
the earth's no good.
You can be helping children. You can be helping people. If you don't go to church, straight down you go, down to the burn.
And in the church, the earth is just like the place you want to escape from.
Exactly, and it's God's creation.
creation.
That doesn't make sense. How can that make sense at all?
I know.
Says, right, the first 7 days he created the earth and the animals and the fauna and all this stuff, flora. And that's the creation by the creator. But there's no reference to it. It's just all about don't pay attention while you're here, because it's all about where you're going. But
absolutely.
Supposed to be alive in the creation right now. It does my head. And by the way, if anyone, is getting triggered, we're sorry, have a look in the mirror. But if there's anyone out there who honestly could have a discussion about this, we'd be up for it. But we're talking, you can't be someone who's going to get triggered all the time, like someone who's of the mind that they can actually entertain these questions, maturely. We'd be up for that.
Definitely. I mean, because, I don't know if you guys know, but in the Bible, it refers to other Lord gods who exist on other realms.
Are
other
they
Lord
from
gods.
the House of Lords?
Yeah, you're right.
Those people that work for the British, the monarchy who print the KJV Bible, those lords?
Yep, that's right. Yep. How's that? The fucking monarchy. Come on. So the lords in the Bible, there's different gods in the Bible that respond to different realms, but they're like it's disobeying our Lord to listen to those lords. There's a chat that already pictures the fact that there's 500,000 million missing words and books in that fucking thing. It's just it's not even worth trying to analyze that damn book.
It's crazy. I was watching this channel called The Fifth Kind. And
tell us about that.
He's basically an ex priest and a scholar, and he started like really doing some deep research into, you know, the original Bibles and the, you know, pre-translated, you know, the Latin, all that kind of stuff. And you know, had some issues, shall we say. And so he's gone down that path. And I saw an interview he was interviewing an Italian scholar who's like in his 70s, who spent his whole life like studying Bibles, and literally his job is to give the exact interpretation of a word without any, you know, biblical sort of inference on it. It's that they ask him, what did this word mean when it was first said? You know, just don't give us any crap. We want the truth. And so that's been his job for like 50 years, right? So he's been, you know, he shows up with this question. I like got this Bible and this Bible, and he's got like 10 different Bibles that he cross references. But what they were talking about is, you know, the Elohim, right? And that they were gods that came in from somewhere, that they you know, think it's outer space, but came in from somewhere. And they talk about Yahweh. And we've all heard of Yahweh. And this scholar said that Yahweh was just one of these people that came in. He was low level, you know, he wasn't even high up in the ranks. And what happened is when these people came in, there was a war, or actually I think they came in after a reset when we were already sort of devastated. Then they subdued us all, and all these different, you know, gods, what we would call gods, beings, got a parcel of land, and the peoples in that land to rule over, and they became the god of those people. And Yahweh was, for some reason, got a group of people, but he didn't get a land for them. All right, have we heard this before? Right, I think it's the tribe of Judea. Right, there's no land. They're wandering around trying to find the promised land. And
to this day,
from 50 years of research in all different types of Bibles, this is what he's come up with. And so the concept was, that these people have come in, they've taken us over, they've proclaimed themselves as God, they've divided up the world into little sections, and each of these people got their own section to rule over as the God. And what do we see in this realm? All these little sections of the earth, all with their own little different gods.
Little countries,
nations, all this stuff, and they've all got their religion, and you have to, you know, when you're in that landmass, you have to be part of that religion, but you can leave and go to a different landmass, and you don't have to. You can be, you know, something different, right?
And they've all got that king line. It's got that monarchy line, whatever word you want to call it. There's that bloodline. Where the fuck did they come from? Where the fuck did that start? You know what I mean? Like, what just happened there?
And so if you take that away from, you know, because they talk about it as aliens, so they do take it away from these spiritual, you know, unable to, you know, ineffable, really, unable to explain what they are, beings, that they put it as, at least as physical, right? And we would say, well, aliens are people that aren't from here. That's what it means. So out of lands, right? Coming in, you know, to a devastated post-reset world, you know, they've still got their tech. We're pretty wiped out. They take over. And then they start to give us technology back, right? Which it says in all these books, you know, and then they proclaim themselves as God. They divide it all up and they start ruling their little bits and pieces for their worship. And it's not just worship, right? I mean, when you go to church, man, they pass around the little tray. They want your money. They want you to give to all their charities. They want you to be,
You've got to give
working on all the stuff, tithing, like working on this. And you've got to tithe to the church, by the way. You can't walk down your street and hand out food to homeless people near you. That will not do. Where's the church's money? So that's and like I said before, from day dot, the King James version of the Bible was about money. All this printing, they were worried about the money they were making. It wasn't like, this is the word of God, so we need to get it to everyone. Just print it. I'm the king. I'm the richest dude here. I'll pay for the lot. Just print it and get it out there. No. They were selling it from day dot. I think it was 10 shillings for a loose leaf, or 12 shillings for a bound version. You could get so from day dot, it's been about money. So you know, we need to know this, right? It's not about benevolent people trying to get the truth out to anyone that they could reach. It's not.
And we need to discuss this, because
I would love to discuss it with Christians.
And just here, because we both realize and understand that potentially the script that's playing out around us now and over the next sort of 24 months, you know, it's going to appear that what's in Revelations is coming to pass. And when that appears to come to pass, then it's going to, every single human being is going to, well, certainly the Western world, because fuck, India's not going to give a shit, but in like every single human person in the Western world is going to like have to like figure it out for themselves. Like, where do they stand on this particular topic? Because when you feel like you're actually at the a pinnacle of choice where you feel like it's like do or die, which, you know, may, and look, there's things, right? You know, obviously when most of us are in danger, or for the most part, because none of us really ever are, but like if we're scared, say you're at home at night or something's happening, you get locked in your car, or you fucking, there's a noise outside, whatever. Most of us will say, you know, say, come, they'll do a prayer of some description. And then, you know, like when something good happens, we're like, thank the Lord, thank God that just happened. Thank God we just broke down in our driveway. Thank God. But that's because from the day most of us are children, like we are put through, like right at the beginning of our life, some sort of Christian doctrination. And if you don't have parents that take you through Sunday school, then your school usually takes you through some sort of Christian indoctrination. And if none of that happens, which is extremely rare, like you are privy to Easter and Christmas, where you will get the Christian indoctrination. So, and all around your life, no matter how far removed you think you've been from it in the Western world, our parents, our grandparents and us, and our children have all had indoctrination around Christianity. So if they're going to crawl out to anyone, it's going to be God.
Yeah, man. I still get that sometimes. I think I get thoughts like, why do I think of that? And I was just I was a just in case Christian. You know, you go to church, you know, just in case, just in case we want to go to heaven.
Yeah, you and I broke down the other day, and we're just like, oh, thank God it happened in the driveway and not fucking 100 k's an hour on the highway.
We nearly got, we nearly got unlived, but yeah, we thank God, right? And I mean, I guess it's what is God, but how often do we thank ourselves or thank the trailer, right, for not exploding as we were doing 100 k's or whatever? But
thank God, mechanic.
It's built in, right? Like, and
it's
this
built in.
So if this is all built, you know, all this information that we're given is built basically because they understand there's cyclical resets.
Yeah,
that's what Armageddon is. They know it's coming up again.
Yeah.
Then they just get to control everyone through fear up until then. And then when it starts happening, they're like, see, we were right. Now you're really scared, aren't you? Now you need to pick a side. Then you're going to pick God, aren't you? And guess what? I'm the head of the church. Better pick me or else you're going to hell. And what's the ultimate end of that? These people who wish to control us come out the other end unscathed with people still worshipping them.
Yeah. And how's how mostly all of the rumors around not even rumors, all the elites who build undergrounds, like, you know, they know something is going to happen. Like they're not planning to just be rescued and go to heaven.
No,
rescue. They're just
200 million or something on an underground bunker in Hawaii. Now, why would he do that if he thought that, you know, Lucifer was going to come and spirit him away, right, and save him for being a good little worshipper?
Oh my God! So what we're trying to say is potentially the God and the devil of the Christian movement is the little midget behind the green curtain in the Wizard
and
of
ultimately
Oz.
All religions, you know, because the only thing that we can prove is life, right? Nature. We can prove it. We can prove, you know, like life and death and food. And where does all abundance come from? Nature.
Yes. Like, where does all life come from?
Where does your life force come from?
Exactly. Like the ultimate power. Hello, oxygen. You know, and we're on this whole carbon kick right now. Like fucking hell. Like get rid of carbon, net zero carbon. That's like life. Get rid of life. That's a non-life statement. Like, you know, we literally.
It's clearly another fear thing, right? Because think about it. It looks, these dudes, as far as we know, they need to breathe, right? So they're not going to cut down all the trees because it's going to destroy their life as well. you know. So, but if you know that there's a cyclical reset every whenever, and most of the trees get wiped down, but they come back really, really fast, well, you're not caring, right? They're just
Yeah.
working up to the reset.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I just
So
think another thing is, you know, results. What are the results? People hardly ever think about or look at their results. So, you know, if you're worrying about, you know, what you believe, or if you're right or wrong, or if you should, or whatever, or if you're in the thick of it, you know, what are your results? What are you
yeah.
actually getting from worshipping a particular deity?
Hmm.
How does it improve your life? How does it improve the lives of those around you? Because, you know, everyone's talking, oh, you got to be spiritual, you got to be spiritual. I don't
Yeah,
even
no, fuck it.
know what that
It's
means, but the truth is, right now, we're not. We're
no.
physical. We are physical, and we're here, and that's what we can work with.
And you know what? Praying, or reading your Bible, like all it does is it gives you a sense of peace and security because you've decided you have faith in something.
Yeah,
But
which
actually, it
means, yeah,
doesn't do anything other than that. Like literally,
you've got the
like
bubble.
if we've got the indigenous who consider their sovereign nature to be the protectors of country, of the environment, of your land, the earth that supports your life and all life. Like, let's just put that into gravity of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
statement. Like, all like, so for them in supporting all their life, like they are in a state of sovereign emergency. Like they're not sitting around praying to the god of
they,
the trees.
no,
They are actually in total and utter action. They're in, and as should we all be. It's not enough to sit around and pray. That's a bullshit like process. Like it's actually you. There is shit that needs to be done. Like that
yeah,
is the fucking fact. And look, at the end of the day, even if you did nothing and did nothing to do with any movement or any regeneration or any assistance to the earth right now, and actually the prophecy of the Hopis comes to pass and she does start to rock and roll, then really you need to spend the next year or 6 sorting out your own sovereign security and at least getting your family taken care of. If this changes in the earth do come to pass, you at least, I mean, like, don't plan for demons. And don't plan for Jesus Christ. Plan for fucking your family's safety in a practical, grounded manner. The Indigenous elders are not sitting around just like knowing that they're going to be safe because they're doing a ritual to, you know,
mm,
the kangaroo. Like they literally
yeah.
they are so in tune with their country and their land. They know what signs to read. They know what's coming and when it's going to come. They know where to go for that outcome. Like they
And
will survive like they survived the last one.
they're connected, right? And Uncle Lewis said, you know, nature is their Bible. As in, that's where the answers are. That's where we learn. That's where we learn about ethics and morals and how to live properly and cycles and all this kind of stuff, is by observing and being one with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's where it all comes from.
That's
And
it.
yeah,
Animals come first. That's what that's what the elders say. The animals come first. Like, you know, they are the ones. They are the
and it
ones.
makes so much sense, right? People are like, what do you mean animals come first? Well, clearly we're more important. Well, if you're not looking after an environment so that animals can thrive, what's left for us? If the
Yeah,
animals can't thrive, then our standard of living goes down, 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 down. So it makes
absolutely.
perfect sense. And isn't that what we're
Absolutely.
told in all these religious books? Put others first, look after, you know, others before, make sure everyone's got enough. You know, but that they want you to put that only in the context of, you know, society and people. They don't like go out and look after nature. And in fact, you know, the government's completely the opposite to that. And you try and do that, and they bloody fine you. What are you doing out here? This is a national
Yeah.
forest. You know, you can't be here. What are you
I
doing?
mean, how do you guys feel out there in our audience? Like having, if we literally tell you to strip away the boogeyman, to strip away the aliens, to strip away the demons, to strip away Satan, to strip away the gods, to strip away the, you know, the apocalyptic nature of it, to strip away that whole thing,
Yeah,
just like to focus your mind on the fact that you're dealing with just psychopathic people.
people.
That like it's probably more accurate to consider they're coming from a broader landscape, but more earth on that sort of plane. you know, like, and that sort of changes the game. And then you sort of like look at the cyclic nature of this realm and like what it has done in the past in our lifetimes and the force of nature. And then just like, okay, from that perspective, you know, are you prepared for that? Are you
Yeah,
resolved for that? Like, I mean, that really does strip away all of the, I mean, we like the
man.
truth movement.
Oh,
We,
fear.
you know, we spend a lot of time trying to get to the bottom of this and trying to understand it and try to jump into broader theories to try to like get our heads on it. But like just for a second, to strip away all the what's the word? Like not demonic, that sort of that magical side of things, that sort of like, you know, that demonic magic, the black that like
What they call it,
this
like
um
outer realms.
yeah, like that sort of like the Marvel universe sort of reality.
Yeah,
Like if you
all that, yeah, because it's seen as we're here on this earth, and we have all these different energies and beings coming in and taking it, looking at us and messing with us and altering all this stuff, and
that we can
so
never
we
fight
can't. What
them.
can we do about that?
Yeah,
We're helpless, right? We can't do
yeah,
anything about that. And I mean, I always think about this. It's like, oh well, these demons, they're possessing people, but they're from a lower realm. And I'm like, well, so they're from a lower realm, but they somehow have the knowledge that there's a higher realm and they can get into it and then they can possess people. But we can't even see the next realm up. How does that
exactly.
work?
Exactly.
They're evil, demonic, lower than us, lower vibrations, but they can completely control us. I
Yeah.
mean, just have a think about how
Yeah.
freeing it would be if you couldn't be controlled because they didn't exist and you didn't have to worship someone. All you needed to do
Yeah.
was be a good human, deal with humans, and then what it also does is it takes away their power, right? Which Cassie again was talking about, that all these things that we hear about, all these rituals and sacrifices, again, for a lot of this, we don't have any proof. Now, but what it does do is it puts fear into people. Oh my God, they're
100%.
so psycho. They're going to do this.
Yeah.
But you take that away, and Joe Biden's just an old, confused man. He's got no power at all, right? Yeah, sure, he's got governments and that, but they individually, they lose, the backing of the devil. So they're just people, right? People can be dealt with, right? And so it's to me it's empowering, right? And again, we can't prove any of this stuff we're told, so why not go with what we can prove and see where that gets us? I mean, look where believing all this crap has gotten us, all this fear. And we all know, right? Fear, false evidence appearing real. The only thing to fear is fear itself. But how often do we practice that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really like, I think going into 2024 and 2025, you know, like, I mean, again, strip it all back and let's just look at what's obvious. And
Yeah,
this is actually how I got taught to do any psychic work, was just to like look at what's obvious to my eyes and then read what's obvious. So, you know, what and how I interpret it myself. Like that's how I would do the reading. So, you know, what's obvious to me is that the weather is, you know, being unpredictable. It's getting harsh. It's getting strong. The storms are getting more. The winters and extremities of heat and cold, floods and fire, rain, all that stuff is, you know, intensifying. What's also obvious is that we know that like there's a lot of weather manipulation. Hello, we see the chemtrail sprays in the sky all the time. Like we see that with our own eyes, right? We see the weather modification towers, we see the lasers and the fires. Like we can see when the weather's being manipulated. And then we can see when the weather's like, you know, being what would it be? Strong. And I don't know, like I just think the next couple of years, like there's going to be some stuff that occurs in the global sense of the word, and I think it's going to be do with nature. I think it's all going to go back to nature. I think nature's going to be the pathway through all of this, and also the pathway like to end all of this. Like I just don't see how. I mean, if we've got some sort of AI interference, it's really hardcore, like robotics and that sort of thing. Like the only thing to stop that is like apparently,
yeah,
again, I don't know,
please.
yeah, like from the sun, like to fry the grid.
Oh,
That's what,
yeah,
or
old
flood.
man-made EMPs. If we can send out waves from man-made things that short circuit them. But
I mean,
I mean,
ultimately, it's
yeah,
empowering
yeah,
to strip away the having faith in something. It's actually empowering to you know, like
have
take
faith
it back
in yourself,
down,
man.
just once again back to nature. Once again.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, and like this indigenous aspect of it is also beautifully entwined, because
mm,
you've got these original people who essentially were the first ones that got genocided and taken over. But you've got these original people who have never given up their relationship with nature in a really high level, at a high level. And
yeah,
in doing that, have retained original law and original universal law
yeah.
at a high level of being that you can't interfere with an evolving species if this is the case. And thus the original law has to find its way home once again. And that is going to be in accordance with nature.
Mm. And all their beliefs have been handed down, right? Father to son, mother to daughter, all this kind of stuff. So with Indigenous people, all their information has come through people that they trust, that they know they can trust. In the West, where's ours come from? Men in dresses who want your kids, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Just think about that. I mean, seriously, think about it. None of it's come from people we can trust. So why would we trust it?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And so yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts, man.
Mm.
Leave us a comment and please just think before you put your comment. I don't want to go down there and say but this and but that. Just try and leave an intelligent comment. Have a think about it before you write it, right? Think before you write. Because so many people are just stuck in reaction, but that's religion. Reaction is religion, right? It really is. If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, this will happen. Here's your rule book. It's all spelled out for you, so you don't have to do anything else except judge other people for not reading the same book. I mean, and we're not here to, try and abuse people or make light of your beliefs or anything like that. But Jesus
No,
does say in the Bible, leave no stone unturned. He doesn't say, just believe what I say and don't think for yourself. He doesn't say that. He says, think for yourself, leave no stone unturned on your search for the truth. Go out there and check it out. And why wouldn't he? Why would God create a world that's just full of traps? It's like a booby trap. It's like this massive maze,
I
right? And if you just
know.
happen to turn the wrong corner, that's it. You go to
Yeah,
hell.
I know,
It's
I know.
like
It's
it doesn't.
crazy. It's just, yeah. So, all right. So okay. So, all right. Obviously, Campbell and I have been talking about the Christian topic for the last couple of weeks. We're quite fascinated by the threads that get presented to us. And I hope today's show was insightful. Obviously, looking at some of this prophecy, we didn't go through The Simpsons, but you guys know to go and check that out yourself. And of course, we didn't go through Nostradamus, but it feels like he's just part of the same script. And we just feel like we're at war with other humans that are just psychopaths and have come in from the last reset with technology intact. And
They got us
I mean,
fighting
it's
spiritual beings
so,
that don't exist, man, so that we don't fight them.
and so it's so less scary from that concept, so less
Love it.
things to
It's
fear, but at
empowering.
this, and that there are a lot less of them than there are us. But at the end of the day, we exist on a living organism called Mother Earth, and she gives us our life force, not them. Their technology does not, and their doctrines do not. She does, and she has thus got a consciousness that will in turn correct the wrong. So that's all we're kind of saying.
Bring it back to what we can interact with, what we can prove, and what we can change. Because if you're living somewhere where you can't change anything, it's just that's where the fear starts. That's where the depression starts. That's where the disempowerment starts, because you can't do anything because it's all, God's up there just manipulating us. So stop being manipulated, people. Take charge of your life.
Yeah, and look, if it was the psychopaths that ended Janet Ossebaard's life, then you're fucking assholes. And I hope that this is just another situation where
I was
you
going
know.
to mention that slightly, just to interject, is with all these, Janet and all these other people that we know about, name me one where the demons came and dragged them away.
Mm,
It's always humans,
yeah,
always
always,
humans.
always, 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 always. So, hey, I mean, I just think it's a very comforting thought. You're back to being in the playground with humans
Yeah,
and not the oogie boogie man that you've got no chance against,
yeah,
You're actually back playing with humans. Like, think about that. It makes a big difference. Anyway, look, that's our last show for 2023, Campbell. I
yes.
don't know what sort of note we've left it on there. I'm not
Oh,
sure
we
where
hope
we've
it was
left you
empowering for your
guys.
2024.
I mean, look, even Jay from Jay Dreams with the plasma apocalypse, which I just thought was a fantastic theory. It filled me with imagination. And unfortunately, with that theory, a lot of these very scary monster-like, impossible creatures to navigate, come up out of the plasma apocalypse. So that's a drag. But I mean, like in essence, like if we look at the Tartarian stuff and the giganticness of the last reset and then the shrinkenness of this one, like then you can see an atmospheric change. Something's happened atmospherically that has altered life on the realm, gone from giant to small, and potentially we are going to go back to that gigantic,
Yeah,
scale. We don't know. We don't know. And we don't know what creatures like I ultimately, if we took it back past the last reset, the creatures could have been equally as terrifying to us, as these concepts of what could come in the future. I don't know. But what we're living with today, on our realm, like it's all manageable, right? It's a manageable, and you and I are surrounded by shitloads of snakes and all sorts of
goannas, saw another
goannas
one
and
this morning. Yeah,
it's all manageable, and
there's
they've all got a
sharks all
spirit.
through the oceans.
And
There's
when you're in
spiders.
contact, when you're in alignment with a deeper understanding with nature, then you have a deeper relationship with even the scariest ones. So if even the scariest beasts you are capable of, refining your process in relationship with, then like nature does seem to be the most powerful force of all of this, hands down, hands down.
Yeah.
God or Jesus Christ, the Lord, has not given me life, has not filled my lungs with oxygen, has not filled my table with food, has not filled my consciousness with intelligence, creativity, and love. Has not.
Mm.
He's a
Yeah,
lofty
I've
character.
tried it. I'm sure we all have. We've all asked the questions. God, Jesus, why is this happening? Just give me some info. Just
Yeah,
give me an answer. And I've tried a lot, and I got to tell you, I've never got an answer ever.
yeah,
Ever. But I've
yeah,
got many, many answers from actual humans. I
yeah,
learn lots from humans and talking and interactions and animals and all this stuff, but never anything spiritual.
yeah.
And
So I
maybe I'm
guess we'll just
just.
leave you with the question of what the fuck is spiritual then?
But
Going into
what is that, man?
2024, what is
Is that?
spiritual? We don't
Right.
know.
I'm so spiritual. I mean, and what is it?
I'm spiritual.
What is it even
Not
about?
sure what it
So
is. Yeah.
spiritual. What does that mean? Can can one person be more spiritual than another when we're all, if spirit is energy and we're all just like, what? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What it means is,
What
I'm
is weird?
of you, worship me, do what I tell you, then I can own you. That's what that means.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, it just means you're like you're mindfully being nice, you're mindfully being caring, you're mindfully being kind, you're
But
mindfully
then,
being
if
in
you are
service.
doing that, take some, responsibility and accolations for yourself, because it's you. It's you
Yeah,
being
it's
nice.
you.
You've
It's
made
true.
the
It's
decision. It's not someone, working like. And this is another thing. People do all these good things. It's it was God that led me to it. Oh, take some responsibility that you're good, that you've
yeah,
done good things, and also if you do bad stuff, oh, it
yeah,
was the devil. No, it was you. Make
that's right.
different and make better decisions. Like I think this is really empowering, and I think if you really sit and you can think about this and the concepts we put forward, I really think it will help you go forward and have a much better, much
Woo!
less fear 2024.
Great. Great. You are. You're it, man.
You're
You're the
it.
power. You're
Amen.
the spiritual. You're the God. You're it all. You're it. You're it. You're it. You're the projector screen. You're the movie. You're it. Oh, I don't know. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice thinking all of those things. It's empowering. It is empowering. It is satisfying. It feels safe and sound. It feels secure. It feels manageable. It feels like it's in your scope of being able to handle it. It feels like you can interact with it again. It feels like it's not this big oogie boogie thing over there that is just way past your ability to comprehend it. Like it feels comprehensible. It feels like a relationship to you. It feels like in relation. It feels earthy. It feels earthbound. It feels like you can do something about it. It feels like you can give a shit again. It feels like you can get involved with sorting out some of these problems on the realm. It feels like you can have a voice. It feels like you can put your energy into something. It feels like you can support things. It feels right. It feels good. It feels strong. It feels human. It feels human. It feels powerful. It feels like you're meant to feel. It feels like it's on the right track. It feels like a good pathway. It feels like a rampage of appreciation, man. It feels better. It just does.
It does, man. It's less fearful, and if you want to be, worship the right person or whatever however you take that, like be the creation that you are and live in the creation. Because isn't that what God ultimately is? The creator. So you're the creation, we're in the creation. So let's just do that.
Yeah. And all the things that are just awful and exhausting, they're just crazy fucking humans, man.
And
Running a crazy puppet show. Who cares?
It's all BS, man. It's all BS. Hole in the ozone layer, Fukushima, all the that were going to kill us. None of them ever happened. It's all fear. So let it go.
It's all fear. Yeah, I agree.
Let it go.
All right.
Let it go.
Oh yeah. All right, I've got sweat dripping down me. I'm just like that's why I move a lot around, everyone, just so you know. It's because I'm just dripping in sweat, humidity, and it's just like I mean, look at our hair gets all like you and I have the same hair in these circumstances.
I know mine's like getting very flat and greasy, man. Every time I push it back, I'm like more grease.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
like you guys have an amazing, happy, and just great New Year's Eve, and whatever you choose to do for your New Year's ritual or process, have the best time ever doing it. I hope this show is like brought you some satisfaction to know that we're also thinking about the topics of like what is actually going on and what really is the big scary boogeyman behind that curtain. It's good. Be like Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion, and go and face that little puny little man behind that green curtain and realize who the scary Emperor of Oz was.
Understand, you don't need someone else to give you courage and heart and strength. It's all in you already. Always
the wizard.
The wizard.
Seek out the wizard behind the curtain, my friends. Seek it out.
And pull his stacks down. Expose him.
And at the same time, just be really practical and smart and make sure you're in a good situation with your family to weather some storms. I reckon. All right. Well, we love you. It's been an excellent year. It's been a great year. Cambell and I have had a great year, like lots of changes in our lives, and we're expecting a massive, excellent year.
It's going to be better.
Look, and reminder, if you want to come and join us in Bosnia, like it's going to be freaking excellent. It's almost sold out. So if you're excited,
few tickets left, but you have to be quick. And of course, this is only for people who aren't scared that the world's going to blow up and all this stuff. We're doing it anyway, guys. So many people are like, you're crazy. 2024, this is going to happen. Not for us. We're going to go out and live. So if you want to live, join the living. Click the link below and come and join us.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. All right, love you, everyone. Happy 2023. We'll see you in 2024, whatever the fuck time is. We just don't know.
Indeed.
We don't know. This is all just a concept, right? We're going to enter a new year conceptually, not like in reality. We don't even know what that is.
An adventure and a creation.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next year.
Stay awesome. Out for now.